Charlie, how about you in S2? How did that go? Learning S2.
It took me a long time to learn it and a lot of practice, a lot of trades in the live markets, a lot of paper trading. But it's my favorite one to trade now.
Is it, yeah?
Yeah, I find myself trading it far more than the others.
So S1 is much easier to learn, right?
It is, yeah. It's much easier to see after you learn it in the live markets, especially.
Yeah. And what do you like most about S2?
I just like the overall pattern. For some reason, I could usually spot it pretty well in the market. Uh, I like seeing the price kind of like close underneath the ATL a little bit. It just looks like a great trap to me. And then when it triggers, it triggers a second trap, and I really just like that aspect of it. It makes me feel like other traders are trapped pretty well, and it's a good place to calculate your risk to reward and get in a trade.
Well, you hear it, right? I mean, that's different vocabulary, right? We like other traders to be trapped. Well, of course, a trap is great to trade off, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I have experienced so many times system one, I experienced the trap myself, right? In a painful way till I designed a system around it. And yeah, that's how it goes. Traps work really well. And how long did it take you to fully grasp system two?
Well, quite a while. I got the idea of it right away, like the kind of like the intellectual idea of it. But to see it in the markets, it took me a lot of practice. I would often see a move made. I would see a momentum move, and then a consolidation, and then another momentum move. And I saw a lot in hindsight. And I would look back and say, "Oh wait, that was an S2. Let me just frame that out." That was a big part of the learning process, just to kind of see trades that happened in hindsight. And I would screenshot those and put them in a pattern library and really, really study them. And then I started getting better at framing them while they developed in the live market. But yeah, first, I think it was just seeing them in the live markets in hindsight really helped that learning curve.
Well, it's always easier to see the patterns in hindsight, but that's the first learning, right? To seeing them in hindsight and then train your brain. So,
Yep.
I mean, pattern recognition is something subconscious, right? A subconscious skill. How did you experience that?
Yeah, that took a long time and just a lot of practice, I think. And one of the hardest things about the S2 is I always was questioning whether the test bar was going to be another higher low or the test bar to put the stop order into the market and take the trade. And that took a long time to sort of develop that subconscious skill to sort of feel that is the test bar, not another higher low, and to put the order in.
Mhm.
And then it took after a lot of paper trading practice, or after a lot of hindsight, I started paper trading it on the seconds charts, and that helped develop kind of spotting them live a lot better as well. Because you miss a lot, you will miss an awful lot of trades. Even now, I still miss a lot, and they kind of go off without you, and that helps develop that skill.
Yeah. Well, with practice, I mean, that's for all those visual pattern recognition patterns that you need to train your right brain, right? How they look like, so you can spot it. The right brain makes the work, not your intellect, not your left brain. You just need
Yeah,
to, yeah.
the left brain
Get
kind of
the skill.
sabotages it a lot when it doesn't. It tries to think logically about the pattern instead of
Yeah.
if you have one higher low to the left, one higher low to the right, and then you get a nice test bar, that logical brain will start questioning, well, should I put the stop in, or should I let it develop more? It took me a really long time to trust the right side, to trust
Mhm.
that more artistic side, for putting money on the line.
How about the harmonic structure? How did you grasp that? What does it mean for you?
For me, I was at first I kind of counted, like if I saw one higher low on the right, one higher low on the left, and then a test bar. And then sometimes I'll see one on the left and then two higher lows on the right, and I'll really like that before a test bar. I just think seeing that harmonic structure again just comes from seeing, a couple hundred of them in the market. Just a constant repetition. I'm a slow learner, so I just needed to see an awful lot of them in the marketplace, and that just kind of helped develop my mind for it. And I've this week I've taken a 15-second S2 and a 5-second S2. I don't like to rely on these seconds ones because they are more challenging, but it's incredible practice to do. And it takes a while to practice to get it to that to execute them flawlessly on the second charts as well.
The simulation bootcamp, how did that? What was that a good help for you to grasp system 2?
I highly recommend the bootcamp because I don't think I might not have been able to get to it in the live markets without the bootcamp because there were so many different situations where an S2 would come up. So every trade isn't the same, right? If there's an S2 pattern, might be developing on the way to a stop run level, and you might have an S2 pattern develop right at a stop run level. They're two completely different trades. The ones that are usually at the stop run levels, and let's say the high frame, I usually let those go because they're a lower probability. And I think the bootcamp just kind of helped see the S2s in different situations or see how they're structured differently, because every pattern looks slightly differently. And it definitely took a lot of training to recognize that and sort of start trusting that. But yeah, I highly recommend the bootcamp. It was an incredible experience, and it fast tracked me getting to the live markets with the systems.
Well, let's have it. I mean, how shall we do it? Do you want to talk a little bit about where you come from before, like, I mean, when you were the situation, the others are like joining the workshop basically, where you've been before, and then how you developed, etc.
Sure, I could just talk kind of a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll open up for Q&As, right? That's what we're going to do. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be happy to help any way I can, answering questions or in any other way I can for anybody. So I joined Gabriel's Futures workshop. I think it was 2 years ago now. It's hard to believe, but it was the first systems I've ever learned. Before the workshop, I was kind of just trading stocks. I read a couple books on it, like some swing trading books and stuff, and I had maybe a little minor success, but overall I felt like it wasn't going anywhere. I tried it for like 2 or 3 years. I made a little money and then I would give a lot back, and I didn't realize at the time that the psychology was off, as well as that I was kind of just doing random things in the market. I didn't have any rules. I was just kind of 100% using discretion and trying to maybe see bases develop, but they were so random. They really kind of there was no consistency in my trading, I guess is the best way to say it. And worse than that is if I would take 2 losses in a row, and then if I was in a third trade and it was winning, I would be completely confused on what to do. I'd be really stressed out whether I should close the trade for profit, or whether I should let it run. And then if I let it run and that one stopped me out and the profit disappeared, it would just kind of cause some frustration, and then I'd probably revenge trade or something. And one of the incredible things about Gabriel systems is how he kind of teaches you the exit algorithm and how to manage the exits. And I've actually become a better trader in stocks just from learning his systems, even though I still kind of use discretion on stocks. But yeah, I think that the exit algorithm is incredible. It completely changes the the mind state of trading, I think. So I don't trade with any confusion anymore. There's just no confusion whatsoever. Let's see. Yeah, so one of the things that I loved about the systems is that it gave me something to consistently execute in the marketplace, where before I was just trading randomly and totally confused. And the rules of the systems and the trend scans that you'll see in the live trading days, it just gives me something to consistently do every day. And I think that has probably helped me so much, and I'm really appreciative of that. So no more random things, no more confusion while trading. I just think it helps that consistent execution. And if I don't see any opportunities that day, I don't have to trade. I have no problem not trading that day. Whereas before, when I was trading all that random stuff, I had to trade every day, and it just created a lot of stress, and it just wasn't very much fun. So yeah, another really great benefit is, since we learn the patterns, if we don't see them in the market that day, it feels good to just not trade and go and do something else. Right now, I'm trading futures on all time frames. I execute the higher time frames with ETFs in a long account, like the 4 hour and the daily. If there's any daily patterns, sometimes they don't develop too often. But 1 hours, actually, I would say 1 hour, 4 hour, and up, I execute with ETFs. And the 15-minute and lower, I execute with futures. Trading crypto as well with the future systems. And I think my crypto account is up like 50%, I think, at the moment, maybe a little more than 50%. So I'm really happy with that as well. Let's see what else. I also take a lot of day trades on the seconds charts as well. Let's see. Another interesting thing that I really like that I'm working on is using options more. And that's to help risk management over the weekend, because sometimes a pattern might trigger on a Friday, and I don't want to hold a levered position over the weekend, especially if it just triggered. So one of the things we could do is options, and I think that's really, really neat how there's just different ways we can execute with these future systems. They don't only have to be executed through futures. And actually, I started trading the ETFs right away, right away in small size, just for the practice. And I think that helped me out a lot as well. That's about it where I am right now. Some of the things that kind of helped me get consistent was I take really good trade journaling. I put every single trade I take in a journal, and I review it every week, and I really kind of write down the details of each frame. I would not ever get anywhere near consistent if I didn't do the journaling. I really rely on it because it shows me if I made any mistakes, or it shows me if I haven't been consistent in the quality of the trades. And I know that if the quality drops, that something's wrong with me, not necessarily the markets. Why am I taking low quality trades? And that is a huge benefit of journaling. I would not be profitable at all without the journal. See, having a trading buddy helps a lot. Kind of helps you through some tough periods. If you go through like a drawdown or something, they can kind of point out any mistakes that I make. So really rely on a trading buddy. Kind of points out quality as well. I think I mentioned before, just finding patterns in hindsight and putting them in the library and studying them. I did that. I do that still today. If I miss a good pattern, I always keep a pattern library updated, and I'm kind of always looking through it. And I also print out maybe every like 2 months or so, I'll print out 10 screenshots of the best trades I saw over the last couple months. And I'll just review those every single morning. And that also kind of helps my brain identify patterns in the market as well. See, I do a lot of mental rehearsal. Every morning I'll kind of run through patterns in my mind, with the rules. And I did this right after the futures workshop ended, where I would start just running through patterns in my mind with all of the rules fulfilled and kind of being conscious of all the rules fulfilled. And I think that helped kind of help me trade the seconds charts, because you don't have a lot of time to make sure that the rules are fulfilled. You kind of just have to see the overall picture in your mind and know that the rules are fulfilled. And you need to take the time to analyze the quality of the trade more than if the rules are fulfilled. That's kind of about it. I don't know if you want me to talk about anything else or just start taking some questions.
Yeah, I think it's very, very good. Let's open it up for Q&A, right? Well, maybe one note, one more again. I mean, I've seen Charlie develop enormously as a trader, and I mean, we have every month we've got a live trading day in the masterclass, and he has done it the first time, I don't know, like 4 months ago, so 6 months ago.
Yeah,
And
something like that.
he was quite shy, right? And not very not super confident. And when he did it the second time, it was just mind blowing. He did it so professionally and really good. I mean that's really, I mean, right where you see when you're growing, when you can trade in front of a group of other people, right? You know, to trade the system, but it's not easy, right? When you're exposed.
Right. Yep.
And then when you did the second time, and that was mind blowing, right? Wasn't it for you as well?
Yeah, I definitely felt way more comfortable.
Yeah.
There was no question about it. Actually, when I was taking your workshop and for some time afterwards, I kind of just hid off camera a lot too. I just kind of kept my camera off, and I didn't even speak very much because I was just too nervous. So yeah, the overall development of trading helps even in real life, and that was one of the biggest surprises I think.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't expect.
Well, that was Van's passion, right? Personal
Yep.
growth with trading as a metaphor. Yeah, that happens as well. Yeah. Well, let's have a look at the chat. Can you see it, Charlie?
Yeah, let's see if I could find
couple
the
of
first
questions.
question. How often would I see them? I think you're talking about maybe the patterns in general. If that's what you mean, patterns, you'll see patterns all over the place. I see many patterns a week, but I only take, a couple trades a week, maybe 5 trades a week max. But there are so many patterns. It's just the question of, is the quality there? Because there can be a pattern and the high frame trend might be kind of more choppy and sideways. I don't really like those. I like to see a really smooth trend up and to the right, really clean, kind of respecting the moving averages. So yeah, there's so many patterns, and that's also one of the things that takes a lot of practice, is to just like, what quality are you looking for? And that's something that the journaling helps with a lot. And because the mid frames could look like all sorts of ways, but I have like a mental picture in my mind now what a mid frame should look like for a trade that I want to take. Let's see. Also asking, like, do the systems work with stocks? I think Gabriel mentions that it's much harder with stocks because the industry matters that day, and so I don't really. Sometimes I'll use the systems with stocks, and I've been pretty profitable with it, but I don't know if I recommend that, because I use a lot of discretion on taking the. I try to take like the best stocks out there. I don't just randomly look for stocks. But I think that's kind of beyond the workshop, because I use a lot of discretion in that. How long after you started the futures class until you were profitable in a live trading account? Well, it took me a long time to go to trade futures with real money because of some psychological fears that I had trading margin. I've never done it before, but I would say with real money trading ETFs, I was pretty quick to be profitable with those. And I actually traded my long ETF account out of a dip that I was in before I joined Gabriel Systems, and I traded it into new all-time highs with his system. So I was really happy about that. And the account is in all-time highs again, even this week. So I've been consistent with real money trading ETFs far faster than futures. Futures took me like over a year because I just had this psychological barrier putting on the margin. Thankfully, that seems to have gone away because I've been doing pretty well, and I've been working on taking more and more contracts now. Let's see. So maybe, yeah, maybe a little over a year with the futures. How many trades do I take a week? If it's slow, maybe one. I think this week I took like 3. Last week maybe like 5. I can't remember. Anywhere between 1 and like 5 trades a week usually. My SQN, one of the things I need to work on is my statistics. I'm really lazy at keeping high quality statistics, as good as I am at keeping my journals every week. So I couldn't tell you what my SQN is. I could just tell you that I've been really consistent over the last few months with futures and over the last year with ETFs, to where my accounts keep going into highs, but I don't know what the details are, like the SQN. Let's see. What's the reason for using ETFs in longer time frames? That's a good question. I'd like using ETFs in longer time frames because you need a bigger risk. And trading futures, I probably wasn't ready to take several $100s a trade, especially right off the bat. And so you could trade really small risk with ETFs, like 20 or 30 bucks a trade. And that was the reason why I started with ETFs, and no margin. So I felt really safe just trading the ETFs. I had no issues putting the trade on, and I had no issues letting it run, especially over the weekend. Yeah, the futures expiration dates gave me some fears. I think they were irrational fears, because these are just things you can learn. And every week I write down when the contracts expire, just to make myself feel safer. But I don't think the broker. We have to check with your brokers, but I don't think they would let it expire. I think they close them out. But you have to still check with your brokers. Win ratio, I need to, again, do better stats on that, but I would say when I'm trading at my best mindset, last month it was really good. I would say it was probably like 70+% last month, if I had to guess. Yeah, I would say consistently over 50% over the last 6 months, probably. It took me a while to start taking every trade I really liked. I was kind of going through, again, some other trading psychological things where if I lost a trade, I would completely freeze up and hesitate on the next one. And then that one would, of course, win. So that kind of hurt my win rate for like a whole year, until the point where I could just kind of push through that fear and start, taking all the trades that I felt really good about in the market. And that helped my win rate a lot. What's your mean weekly or monthly R's? Week to week, it's different week to week. I have a really good trading strategy that I made, so I would recommend, after the workshop, to look through the key success factors on Gabriel's website and kind of start thinking about a trading strategy. So this week I was pretty much break even. Last week I was, it was, I think, a small win. But again, my stats are not that good, so I don't know what the exact number is on those, but I probably average, a couple R. I usually hit the 2 R goal week. My monthly goal, I'm better at hitting. because week to week it could be different. Because like this week, the trades I took just didn't follow through very well. I liked all the trades I took. They just didn't follow through well, and that's completely fine. So yeah, that doesn't really answer the question. I need to do some better stats on that. Does either S1 or S2 tend to slingshot further? It really, I think, in my opinion, it kind of depends on the overall setup of the trade, but I kind of often see in general an S1 would sort of sling up through the stop run levels faster. Whereas the S2 very often, again, not every time, but very often it kind of just does like a slow grind up. And sometimes it can, because of that slow grind, it will kind of be in the profit and then kind of come down a little bit, and then you'll be kind of negative, and then it'll go back up until it gets kind of clear of all the stop runs. And at least in my experience, yeah, the S2 is a slower grind up, but it lasts longer of a run, and the S2 would kind of just like slingshot a little more. Or the S1, I mean, if I misspoke there, would slingshot. Yes, for the ETFs and options trading, I do use the futures signals for those. So if NQ, the NASDAQ, actually, I think it had an S1 long on Wednesday after the FOMC, and I took that on the QQQ ETF long. That's still running. So yeah, I use the futures chart signals to execute via ETF or options. And then after they kind of get through the consolidation break, I usually switch to the ETF chart to manage the exit, just to kind of reduce some confusion and stuff to make it simpler. And I'll just have a separate kind of like browser tab with all the ETFs on there, and I'll just manage them on that. I will say a little trick with the ETFs is because the stock market's not open 24 hours like the future market. If I see a pattern on like NQ 1 hour chart, I like to see that kind of visual pattern one time frame lower. So if the NQ is doing an S1 on the 1 hour chart, I'd like to see an S1 at least look similar on the QQQ chart in like the 15-minute time frame. I think that helps a little bit. Yeah, I have David Hawkins books, a bunch of Van Tharp's books back there. That's my trading book section. A favorite time of day for trading? It's usually when the stock market opens, or an hour before. I usually get to my desk around, let's say 8 a.m. I kind of go through my process before I get to the desk. I have a consistent process I do every morning to get into a consistent mental state. And I'll usually 8 a.m. Eastern time get to my desk and start looking through the news, start preparing. When trading seconds chart, especially have to be really careful with the news. I don't want to trade in front of any important red news. So I'll set my news alarms and such like that. But yeah, so I do a morning session from 8 to maybe 11. I get a little tired after that, so I'll take a break. And then if I'm still feeling fine, I come back maybe 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. and that's about it. If I have a trade in the afternoon that runs, I'll stay at my desk till like 4. Favorite instruments for futures? I think my favorite's the American equities, just because I feel more comfortable with them. But I've traded silver this week and gold. Yeah, those are my favorites: American equities and probably gold. But I've traded energy as well. Yeah, do you and other students share their trades and speak about them with each other? I do with my trading buddies. So every week we meet and we'll share each other's trades and kind of look through them and go through the details and see, make sure all the rules were fulfilled. If not, like what was the discretion behind it? What was the idea? And that also helps with kind of like figuring out some psychological issues as well. We can kind of like point out some mistakes each other are making, or if we're doing revenge trading or anything like that. So yeah, we definitely speak about our trades. We don't like to speak about them before we take them, just kind of like, review our journals. How many different futures products do I trade? The ones that are 24 hours, just like the American equities, the metals. I trade the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana futures, and energy. Do you trade full time and live from that? Well, I do trade full time, but I don't live from that. I have some real estate income that I live from, and I trade full time to kind of just increase like wealth. So I don't have to pay my bills with trading income. That would probably stress me out a little too much. I don't think I'd be able to do it. So it helps me not need to trade, which is really important for me because I let a lot of trades go. If I don't see like with all the mental work I do, and I kind of put this like a overall picture in my mind together, how I want the different frames to look. If I don't see that, I don't have to trade that day. And if I do, I take them.
I've got a question. What is your happiness score?
Oh, what was that? I can't think of it off the top of my head. I think it was like 55 or something. I could try to look it up real quick.
Because you seem pretty happy now, right?
Yeah, well,
You've changed a lot over the last 2 years.
Yeah, a lot. Yep, I've done so much work with van stuff, and going through your master's program helped tremendously. Yeah, it's weird that sometimes I'll just like walk down the street and smile. If I'm walking with my wife, she's like, "What are you smiling about? Like, what are you thinking about?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'm just happy." And I think it comes to not thinking about anything, not thinking about the future, not thinking about what happened yesterday, and just really enjoying the moment and being in the now moment, and really, really helps a lot. It helps with trading actually, because it makes me, if I make a mistake, and I still do sometimes, and to just forgive myself really, really fast. And I don't beat myself up anymore, where I used to, but I just don't anymore. Yeah, I can't find it real quick on my email, but I think it was 55 if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to take it again and see. Back when I probably took it the first time on Van's website, I don't know, it was probably really, really low, like 4 years ago or something.
I think you're above 55, or you're coming across.
Yeah.
But take it again. I would be interested.
Yeah, me too. I should take it again. It's probably been at least like 6 months. I think the last time I took it was on your website. Meditation, I do a lot of meditation, pretty consistent with that, and that also helps a lot. Oh, that's a good question. Do you ever pay attention to macroeconomic news or fundamentals? And the answer is no. I don't like listening to anyone's opinions about stocks or where the economy is headed. I just like looking at the charts. You can, but when I used to trade stocks before learning Gabriel systems, I was listening to everyone's opinion, and it just created a lot of confusion for me. So now I only look at the charts. I look at the charts. I look at the big picture of the markets through the lens of Gabriel systems. So if there's, I don't know, let's say there's just a big pattern developing on the daily chart, for instance, and then it turns out it could be an S1, and then you have this big drop down and it's a test bar. Well, every time there's a big dip, the news just makes up a new reason why they try to invent a new reason why stocks are selling. And it's always different every time. And that, I think, creates the fear because the reason is always different on every sell-off. But I just look at the charts through the lens of Gabriel's systems, and that helps me understand what's going on. I don't need to know what news event's happening. I just, oh, there's an S1 on the daily chart. We could get a big sell-off test bar here. If we do, it more than likely is buyable. If it triggers, we had that big tariff sell-off, and everyone was kind of like super scared. But if you just turn the news off, I had my eyes on the quarterly chart, and because we really used that 21 moving average, I just used the discretionary buy when ES hit the quarterly 21. I just added that to my ETF account, and not a huge size because markets could have went down a lot further, but it was a good opportunity to go long on non-levered ETFs for a long account, and it turned out to be a good decision. And it was just based on not listening to any news, not listening to any opinions, just looking at things through the entire lens of Gabriel's systems. But yeah, that is one of the things that used to really cause a lot of confusion for me, was other people's opinions. I used to be on Twitter, what's this stock going to do? What's that stock going to do? I haven't been on Twitter since for 2 years. I just completely shut it off. Fundamentals for individual stocks the same. I try to just see what the strongest stocks are in the country. And you could kind of tell by just what are the trends like, are they always hitting all-time highs? And that's a really strong stock. So I focus on those. What other classes of Gabriel did I take? I just recently took his last Forex workshop. I really enjoyed that. And then I went through his boot camp and LMP and masters for the futures. Are you concerned about a big pullback in S&P 500 in coming months? No, I would just probably add. I mean, that's not advice. That's not investment advice, but yeah, I just I trailed the stops in my long account, so I don't have a problem moving back to like mostly cash because I just let the trades run and I trail the stops. And if the stops get taken out and I move my long account back to cash, usually you do get that big pullback. And like I said, it could just be a pattern. If it's not a pattern, it's something else may go on. But I've not been fearful trading, been fearful of market crashes or anything like that because I just turned off everyone's opinion. Do you feel you keep improving? Yeah, I definitely think I keep improving. My trade quality over the last 6 months has gone up a lot, and that has helped. Well, that has been a big improvement, and that's been because of the journaling. And you could see it in the journals because I could go back to the trades I took last year, and I would probably not take any of those nowadays. And that is what helps get the success rate up a lot as well. It's really a lot about how many you could let go as much as it is which ones you take as well. A lot of the improvements now come more from psychological changes as well. I had I think I mentioned earlier where I would take like a couple losses in a row and not take the next one that I really liked, and that would be like the winning trade. Well, when I finally pushed through that and started taking them, that is what really changed my results around, and that was just psychology. You're welcome. Any other questions? I try to think of anything else that helped me out, but I think that was the most of it. Another thing is, stay being a clinger learner. I do remember shortly after the workshop ended, and I was kind of trading ETFs. There was somewhere along the way where I stopped being a clinger, and I would take patterns without there being like a high frame trend, and those never worked out well. And I had to catch myself um, kind of deviating from being that clinger learner and get back on track. So that's another thing. I kind of caught myself trying to do my own thing in the market and switch up from that. When trading ETFs on longer time frames, how far out, how deep in the money, or well, for options, I'm still kind of learning about the expiry and the how deep in the money. I keep fumbling that, so I'm not a pro at that, and I wouldn't be the one to ask about that. I'm still kind of experimenting with those two things. But so far on the options trades I've taken, they've made some money. They didn't make as much R's as if I would have just executed on the futures with the futures. But I think that's more because I fumbled the details of the expiry or in the money. So something I'm working on. I will say I do really like if a signal happens on a Friday to take the option, and you only take the option premium based on that 1R risk, and you don't have to worry about any gap downs on Sunday night or Monday. I don't set stops on options. I just set alarms on the futures charts, and often you can get out with less than 1R loss. And the trailing stops as well. If the futures hit the stops, I just let the options go. But yeah, the maximum risk I take for options is the same amount of money I would take on a futures trade for my 1R. You're welcome. If S1 has little discretion, where's the improvement room in choosing the right ones? The improvement room comes from the quality of the trend. It could come from a lot of things. It can come from the quality of the high frame trend, where it could look, a high frame trend could look a lot of different ways. It could be overall sideways, which is usually a pretty big negative. Those can run far, but they have a low probability to win. Or it could be a really nice, smooth up and to the right trend. It's hard to just describe that. Another improvement was the mid frame. The mid frame can be really choppy and overall sideways, but almost all of the mid frames that I like to take for trades are EMA trending. And they just look really clean. They almost look as good as like a high frame trend. I think yeah, that's the main improvement room was from the trend quality from the high frame and from the mid frame, I think. I think so. The cleaner the trend in the mid frame and high frame, the better. Yeah, it seems like I definitely have a higher probability. And you could look through a lot of the screenshots that Gabriel shows. He shows a lot of the trends that are really, really high quality. But when I went to the market, I was just looking for trades because I was just I just wanted to trade and trade and trade. So EMA trends can look a lot more random than you think. And one of the journaling tips that really helped me in my pattern library was I would actually just take screenshots of the high frames of my trades, and I would put like 4 of them right next to each other on PowerPoint or something like that. And you could see the difference in the trends since they're right next to each other. And I did that for the mid frame as well. And that helped me improve the mid frame qualities, was just snipping the mid frames of all of the trades that won and all of the trades that lost and just kind of putting them next to each other. And you could kind of start picking up patterns in which trade, like let's say which S1 which mid-frame look has a higher success rate, if that hope that makes sense. Yeah, I'd say that applies to S2 as well. S2, I'm a little more liberal with the trend quality, especially if it's like an earlier trend. I find S2 works pretty well, even earlier trends. I like seeing S1 slightly longer, more developed trends. But yeah, for the most part, you know, a nice strong developed trend is the best. I do feel like probability goes up. I actually caught myself maybe like 8 months after the futures workshop, because I was jumping on all the early trends, and I was looking at a trade, and I caught myself thinking that the trend is too long. And that was a really important development for me, because we have to have the belief in these systems that the trends can keep going. And I didn't realize I had that belief, but I was looking at a trade, and I said to myself, the trend looks too long, and it wasn't based on anything. So I almost didn't take the trade based on that. And it was just a belief that I had, I guess, that the trend would end. There was no objective opinion of that. So when I realized that in the moment of trading, I put the trade on, and it wound up winning, and the trend went a lot further. So yeah, I'm not afraid to trade longer, more developed trends, because they do have a tendency of keep going. Is it more important to trend than the risk reward potential? I think both are important, but I do really like that a good quality trend. If the risk reward is like 2 times if the reward is more, it's like at least 2 times the risk, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. That doesn't stop me from taking it, as long as the pattern quality is good.
Okay, very good. Maybe one last question. Okay,
You're welcome. Thank you.
fantastic. Thanks a lot, Charlie. It's the
You're
first
welcome.
time guest speaker. Usually we pick other people every workshop. It's very good to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Hopefully I helped a little bit.
Yeah, well, I always learn when you guys talk, because you developed into independent traders.
Yeah, that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I joined your workshop, is to be an independent trader. It really meant a lot to me to kind of be able to get to the point where I could just trade on my own and not need anyone else's opinion. It was a big
Or
deal for me.
anybody else's indicators, right? Black
Yeah,
box.
exactly. Yeah, no indicators. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, very good. Thanks a lot for coming and your time.
You're welcome. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, I mean, you're free to, send me a message on the blog or whatever. I'd be glad to help.
You will join as well for the live trading day, right?
I think I'll be there.
Yeah.
Most likely. I think so.
This for parts of the day, yeah.
Okay.
Great. All right. Well, let's call it a day and meet tomorrow again. The usual time, and it's always the same link, right? As well for the live trading days. Always the same link. Keep it simple. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.